Let's start with a hard truth that most dating coaches are too afraid to tell you. When a man says he's too busy to think about you, he's usually lying. Not because he isn't working, he might be closing $1 million deal or fixing a literal engine, but because the human brain doesn't actually work in a straight line. We like to think of the male brain as a high-performance computer that closes every tab to focus on one task. But in reality, we're more like a browser with 40 tabs open, and 3 of them are playing music we can't find the source of. Most advice tells you to stay busy so he misses you, or to wait 3 hours to text back. That's amateur hour. That's playing checkers when the game is neurobiology. If you just disappear, he doesn't think about you. He simply adjusts to your absence. If you want to be the background app that never closes, the thought that pops up the second he has a micro break between meetings, you have to understand cognitive looping. You don't want to be a checked box on his to-do list. You want to be the one unresolved file his brain refuses to archive. Today, we are going deep. No text him a heart tips here. We're talking about the Zygarnik effect, dopamine cliffs, and how to stay on a man's mind even if he's literally launching a rocket. Phase 1, the dopamine cliff, ending on a high. In physics, there's a concept called inertia. In dating, there's a psychological equivalent called the peak end rule. Psychologists have discovered that humans don't remember an entire experience linearly. We remember 2 things: the most intense moment, the peak, and how it ended. Most women make the mistake of natural decay. You're having a great conversation, the chemistry is flowing, and you keep talking until you run out of things to say. The energy dips, someone gets tired, and you eventually say, "Okay, I'm gonna go to bed now." Congratulations, you just gave his brain cognitive closure. You ended on a plateau. His brain says, that interaction is complete, and it files you away in the finished tasks folder. If you want him thinking about you all day, you have to use the dopamine cliff. You need to end the interaction while the energy is at its absolute highest point, while you are both laughing, while the tension is crackling, while the dopamine is spiking. That is when you leave. Imagine you're texting and you've just hit a really funny, high-vibe moment. Instead of writing it into the ground, you send, "I actually have to run, but remind me to tell you what I just realized about that thing you said earlier. It's actually kind of wild. Talk soon." And then, you vanish. For a few hours at least. What did you just do? You denied his brain the end part of the peak end rule. You left him at the top of a cliff. Because the dopamine spike wasn't allowed to naturally fade away, his brain will stay active on that thread. He'll be sitting in a boardroom an hour later, and his subconscious will be screaming, "Wait, what was the thing she realized? Why is it wild? When is she coming back?" You haven't just sent a text. You've opened a mental loop that only you can close. Phase 2, the identity mirror, the ego hook. Now let's talk about a man's favorite subject, himself. I'm not being cynical. Evolutionarily, men are hardwired to be obsessed with their own competence, their status, and their identity. A man's most frequent internal dialogue is usually an assessment of how he's performing in the world. If you want to occupy his mind, you have to tether your image to his internal narrative. Most people give generic compliments. "You're so handsome," or "You're so smart." These are nice, but they're cheap data. His brain processes them, feels a quick flicker of warmth, and moves on. To create a deep mental hook, you need to use unique labeling. You need to identify a trait he possesses, specifically one that he prides himself on but suspects most people are too shallow to notice. Maybe it's the way he stays incredibly stoic when a waiter messes up an order. Maybe it's the specific dry way he observes people in a room. You say something like, "I was thinking about our dinner yesterday. I've realized you have this very specific calm when things start getting chaotic around you." It's a very rare trait. It's actually pretty impressive. Here is the inception part. Now, every time he is at work and things get chaotic and he consciously tries to stay calm, he will think of you. You have effectively branded his own personality trait with your face. You aren't just a girl he's dating, you are the witness to his best self. You've become the mirror that reflects the version of him he likes most. When he feels proud of himself during the day, he will subconsciously want to report back to you because you are the one who gets him. Phase 3, the ambient mystery. Nonlinear communication. One of the biggest killers of attraction is predictability. If I know that every morning at 8:15 a.m. I'm going to get a "Good morning, hope you have a great day" text, my brain stops processing that text. It becomes background noise. It's like the hum of a refrigerator. You only notice it when it stops. To keep a man's brain engaged, you must be a non-linear variable. The male brain is an investigative machine. We are evolved to notice anomalies. If the forest is quiet and suddenly a bird screeches differently, every hunter in the tribe looks up. If you are usually the bubbly, emoji-heavy communicator, and suddenly you send a short, slightly philosophical, or even a bit cold message, not mean, just different, his brain triggers an anomaly alert. Wait, why was she so brief? Is she busy? Is she bored? Did I do something? And trust me, even the most confident man alive has a tiny voice that asks, "Did I do something?" Conversely, if you are usually reserved and serious, and you suddenly send a 5-second voice note of you laughing at something ridiculous in the background with zero context, you have created an ambient mystery. You are giving him data gaps. A man's brain hates a gap in the data. He will spend his lunch break trying to solve the puzzle of your mood. You've successfully moved from a known quantity to an active investigation. Phase 4, the sensory ghost. Environmental anchoring. We've talked about his internal thoughts and his ego, but now we need to talk about his physical world. Most women try to stay on a man's mind by sending him digital reminders, texts, memes, TikToks. That's fine, but it's easily swiped away. To truly haunt his day in the best way possible, you need to use environmental anchoring. The human brain is a master of association. It's why you can't hear a certain song without thinking of your high school prom, or smell a specific laundry detergent without thinking of your grandmother. This is called associative learning. If you want him to think of you while he's at his busiest, you need to tether yourself to things that are already in his daily routine. Instead of just talking about yourself, start asking him calibration questions about his environment. For example, that coffee shop right next to your office, does it actually smell like burnt beans every morning? Or is it just me? Or, is that blue painting still in the lobby of your building? It always reminded me of a Rorschach test. What have you done here? You've planted a neural ghost. The next morning, when he walks into that lobby or smells that coffee, his brain doesn't just process coffee or lobby, it processes you. You have effectively hacked his physical commute. He is busy, he is rushing to a meeting, but his environment is screaming your name. And here is the pro tip for the male perspective. Don't just anchor to objects, anchor to high-stress moments. If you know he has a high-pressure presentation at 2 p.m., send a text at 1:50 p.m. that says, "I just had a flash of you absolutely crushing this meeting. Can't wait to hear how it went." Now, while he's standing in front of his boss, a tiny part of his brain is linked to your belief in him. You aren't a distraction, you are his support OS running in the background. Phase 5, the selective vulnerability loop. Now we're getting into the heavyweight psychology. Men are evolutionarily wired for two things: provision and protection. If a man feels like he has won you completely and there is nothing left to protect or provide, his brain, being the efficiency-seeking machine it is, will put you in the safe inactive category. He'll love you, but he won't obsess over you. To keep him mentally checking in, you need to use selective vulnerability. This isn't about being a damsel in distress. It's about sharing a micro secret, a small piece of your inner world that feels slightly raw or unpolished. Tell him something like, "I don't usually tell people this because I like to keep my boss face on, but I actually got really nervous about that presentation today. It's funny how a little self-doubt can still creep in, right?" Notice what this does. You've shown him a data gap in your perfect exterior. Because men have a deep-seated fixer instinct, his brain will stay active on this problem. He will wonder, is she okay? Does she need me to say something? How is she feeling now? By being selectively vulnerable, you give him a mission. He will think about you throughout his busy day because he is subconsciously monitoring your emotional safety. You've given him the hero's narrative. And trust me, there is nothing a man likes thinking about more than being someone's hero. As always, if you found this deep dive useful, hit the like button and subscribe. It tells the algorithm that you value high-level psychology over basic dating games. Stay mysterious, stay high value, and I'll see you in the next one.